to all give a warm welcome to Glenn Bernstein.
It's wonderful to be here, and this is one of my favorite places in Georgia, and I think we all owe Mr. Dundee here a round of applause for As you mentioned, I started when I was 14 years old. My father just happened to be the program director of the NBC station in Miami, Florida, where we live. So I got to go in and spend time at the Weather Center. And I was a cocky young kid. I was a surfer. And I kind of liked weather, but I also loved astronomy. So one day I was at the beach when I was 14 years old. And despite the black clouds in the distance, the surf was good. So I got on my board and I paddled out. I got a couple of nice waves, came back in, went to my blanket there with the rest of my friends, when a bolt of lightning hit about from me to this wall back here and exploded. The hair of my arms was up. I could feel the shock wave kind of almost knock me over. From that point on, I wanted to learn everything about lightning. And I did. So my first job was in West Palm Beach, Florida, but I got to go to work at the University of Minnesota where I did my graduate work in Minneapolis. Also worked up there until my wife finally said, no more 65 below zero. And Atlanta became our home for 42 years now. So I love Atlanta. It's got its challenges for sure. Now I have a good Facebook page, and if you've been following that, the predictions for this winter were warm and dry. What happened? Well, that was based on a phenomenon that's called La Nina. That's when the water off the coast of South America, along the equator, gets cold. And that changes the global wind patterns in such a way that it gives us a warm and dry winter. Well, climate change has kind of overwhelmed that, and the water did not get cold, or at least as cold as it should. So we ended up with this, the polar vortex. And if you have any questions, by the way, as we go along, please don't hesitate to bring them up, and I'll call it. But we're about 20 minutes away from the new European popular which you're going to see first right here, concerning a little issue I see for next week. If you didn't want to see that, did you?
We do.
It's going to be fun to see. So what we're dealing with right now is called the polar vortex. And on my Facebook page, people would say, oh boy, we just love this global warming you've been talking about. They're more right than they know. That's what causes this. The warming causes it to get colder. You're saying, how can that possibly be? Well, let's take a look at it. So, this is the polar vortex. It's an area of low pressure across the North Pole. Massive. And there's a lot of cold air across the North Pole. And it sits over sea ice. Now, normally the jet stream that borders this cold air is very strong. Keeps the cold air kind of bottled up across the North Pole. South of the jet stream, it's warm, relatively warm. But up in the North Pole, it is very cold as that cold air sits over the Arctic sea ice. But now, something is happening. Take a look at the sea ice from 1984 until 2019. Chunks the size of South Dakota are disappearing every year because the Arctic Ocean is warming up. That warming is causing the jet stream that borders that cold Arctic air to buckle and weaken. And that allows the cold air just to flow down like water out of a cannon right across the United States. This is significant. There's a lot of fresh water going into the Arctic Ocean as well. So people have said, well, this is just cyclical. This happens throughout history. We only have records that go back 150, 160 years. Not the case. We have records that go back 400 million years. You say, how is that even possible? We dig down in the Arctic and we get ice cores. And you can see for every year what was in the atmosphere and how warm that was, along with tree rings. So we have a fairly good record of temperatures. We have a fairly good record of composition of the atmosphere. Right now, we have the largest amount of CO2 in our atmosphere that we've ever had in history. We've also had, over the past 10 years, the warmest temperatures the planet has seen. This is significant. But for some reason, people don't believe that this is actually happening. They do not believe that we are seeing climate change. They would rather believe in conspiracy theories. Now, we ran into a headwind, so to speak, my colleagues and I, with the hurricanes first. Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. Hurricane Helene was unprecedented. Somehow, people believed we were controlling the weather with remote controls. You see somebody behind with a Nintendo controlling Hurricane Helene? No. This was brought about by an extraordinarily record-warm ocean, which brought up a tremendous amount of energy into that storm and a tremendous amount of rainfall. People in North Carolina said they've never seen anything like it, and they haven't. This has never happened before like this. It was catastrophic. And, I have friends up there. One guy watched his neighbor's house just depart from its foundation and flow down the river. So there were all these conspiracy theories that were controlling the weather, the cloud seeding, and on Facebook people are saying it's all the government doing this. And I said, well, why would they do this? Why would they do this? They want the land. Well, they could just do eminent domain. Why would they want to have a hurricane destroy the land that they want? And people cannot get this out of their minds. So then they have another conspiracy theory with a thing called HARP. HARP is the High Altitude Auroral Research Program that the Air Force had before satellites to try to bounce signals off the ionosphere with a radio receiver in Alaska. So now we have wires and a receiver controlling hurricanes. It's not possible. How? No. Then we have the chemtrails. Now we have an airport here, but it's the busiest in the world, and you can see contrails all the time in the atmosphere. It's just jet engines condensing water vapor. But other people believe that we have a secret government organization funded by the 5 superpowers to create chemtrails in the atmosphere to poison the public for no apparent reason, or control the weather. The absurdity here of trying to control chaos, it is just beyond my imagination. So anyway, these are conspiracy theories. They are not true. We do not have the ability to control the weather. We can't synchronize 2 traffic lights 100 feet apart, let alone control the weather. This is what's doing it. This warming of the ocean is changing the evening. So we're seeing not a whole lot for here, actually right here, actually. And then it all turns into a big sheet of ice. All that's 546 line, that's where the ice is. That's kind of a nutrient mix. So this is what you're seeing on the European model. Let's see what happens as we go on now to, this is next Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Still more ice down across South Georgia where the panhandle is turning into all rain. Gone by Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. That's one model. That's the European model. Now, the European model is by far the best computer model we have going. The Europeans, for some reason, have some great insights into the skill that goes into their computer model. You want to see what the American model is saying about all this? Yeah. It's called the Global Forecast Systems, or GFS. So we'll go to the GFS here. Let me start out. Let's go back in time here. this is the GFS model, and this is for next Wednesday. You can see it has snow up here. And then we see a little bit of snow, there's flurries mostly. It still has the ice, so that's one thing in common. Ice down in Middle and South Georgia. That's what we look for when we look at these computer models, some kind of consistency. Are they doing this every time the computer model run comes out? Or is it going to be changing? So there could be some flurries, but it looks like ice is the main threat there. And again, snow and ice, Middle and South Georgia. This is going on toward Wednesday morning and into Wednesday afternoon. And more ice again there as we go on through Thursday. And then again as we get on through Thursday evening. So ice seems to be the main concern with the snow event or winter weather event. And it appears Middle and South Georgia will be the favorite areas. So which one do you go for? Well, 5 days out is when we start to really see a consensus of the models built in. Anything beyond that, it's wild speculation. Tornado Alley is gradually shifting toward the east. Alligators are moving up the Chattahoochee from South Georgia into North Georgia. Did you know that? Hurricanes are bringing things up in North Georgia that have only been found in the tropics. Bugs and other things. So we're seeing a great transport of warm weather effects up in the North Georgia area. It is extremely frightening to see. Greenland especially losing a tremendous amount of sea ice. That fresh water is just going out in the ocean and diluting the ocean, changing ocean currents, changing the habitat of animals. So there's a domino effect across the globe right now. And again, people believe it, and a lot of people think it's the government doing this. Anyway, anybody have any questions about whether they...
If you have a question, just raise your hand. I'll come over with the microphone.